do it. All right, welcome back, MrGarrell, and we are the Bounty Hunters. What are we doing tonight, Canadian?
Episode 6 of Ahsoka review.
Episode 6 of Ahsoka.
Far, far away. Now, first off, I liked when you said, "Oh, that you're cheeky" last time when they said something far, far away. And this one, they full blown say it. Yeah. They don't care.
No cheeky needed. We're just gonna full on do it.
Full send.
All right, so we'll talk about it, kind of give us an overall, and then we will spoiler alert. You will know it. It will not be hard to miss the spoiler alert warning. All right, I will let you go first.
Yep, Ahsoka dies, and the Purgle opened his mouth on the way and swallowed something. It smashed the ship into the stomach, and she died in stomach acid.
No, you're not supposed to give out spoilers. You're supposed to just say what you thought of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Ahsoka may die this. Anyways, a great episode. I was really happy with it. I was surprised at the things we saw. Happy. There's a lot of the rebelness that comes through in this show, for good and for worse, and the more detail. Again, every time we get more scenes of Baylan and Shin, the happier I am, and the more interested I am in their characters as it goes. And again, there's not much else to really say about trying to spoil stuff. The actress for Sabine, Natasha Liu, does a fantastic job as her as normal. Making a face here, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So it's great. It's a good episode. It's the first episode I'm worried because Uncle Dave has a tendency to go a little fanciful, which I welcome in Star Wars. I like that, but I just don't know how far he's going because I feel like with Disney losing billions of dollars, the fans at all-time low. If you go too nerd Star Wars, are you going to lose people for good? Is my concern, and I feel like he's on the cusp of great world building and can make a decision that could be really cool, or he can make a decision that people are like, "What? I don't even know what's happening. Was he on drugs when he wrote this?" Like, there's to me, he's right on the cusp of that. But that being the case, I enjoyed it. Like you said, I was very surprised what was revealed. There was so much revealed so fast that's the concern that I have a little bit, just because of. It was like, to me, it was kind of like, if you know the story of the Greeks and the Spartans and everything else, and you kind of know it and you're a fan of it, then you watch 300 the first time and you're like, this resembles the story of the Spartans. But then what is all the weird stuff with giants and magic and all kinds of stuff? And I feel like we're on the verge of comic book kind of 300 instead of a fun retelling of a historic story, if you get what I'm saying. Like, I feel like we could be on the verge of something that goes a little bit weird. So we'll see. But I guess that's it, because after this we got to do spoilers.
Yeah, we kind of have to. As these episodes go, more and more it has to be spoiled.
So if you're here just to say how we like it, I think we both like it. I would, out of 10, I don't think I would go as high as the previous two. Just on
the previous two are significantly.
Yeah. But it's still good. It's still better than any other, save, the TV show we always talk about. But as far as...
I'd probably give it about an 8.
Yeah, an 8, maybe even 8.2, just because of the things they did.
The action, there's not as much action in this episode compared to the past two episodes. And the action that we did have was more lackluster than in the past.
All right, so let's just hit the spoiler alert. My daughter had no idea I was doing that until I told her the other day that that's what's happening. She's not happy with the camper about her little flute playing there. All right, so yeah, we could jump into it now. That the spoilers, I will say that to me a little bit. I mean, we'll get into it as it goes on. Like, we already know that he has this weird obsession with wolf. He has a weird obsession with kind of like Nordic traditions and skull and the guy's name in this, the guy and girl Jedis, or used to be Jedis in there. They're the same names of the wolf that chased the sun, that chased the moon, that chased all this. There's going to be a time where we're talking about the witches. My multiple degrees in history that were completely a waste of time and money are in Greek and Roman history. So that was kind of cool, but at the same time, I was kind of like, where are we going with this? Just because I know the mythicness of around the three witches. So we'll see.
Yeah, the oracles. Yeah, the oracles.
We got this in. We get this for rock. Something like watching new rock stars. Try out new rock stars because they do like the random stuff where they tell you what the language letters say, which I kind of like. So I didn't get to see that this time because I like seeing that, it says ice cold beer or something funny sometimes on some of the signs. So I kind of missed that. I would like to have seen some of those things, but all right. So we're here.
I think right away, the funniest thing I could think of when I was watching the beginning was how last week you're like, oh, it's really cool when the Purgle leave and they're inside the mouth. We don't see what the Purgle sees traveling.
Yeah, we saw this time.
And then as soon as the episode starts, it's immediately that. And all I thought was, I can't wait to hear what he says.
It was fine. It's just Star Wars has a problem of like doing the right thing, not showing the snow monster, not showing the Bigfoot in the cave, and then showing it. And everyone's like, oh, it was kind of cool. You didn't. It would have been cooler if they just didn't show it, in my opinion. It would have just been cooler. When you saw it, it was cool. It was different, and so that's cool. Like, it was cool and different. But to me, if you just saw it like glowing in their eyes or something like that, so you leave that mystery, leave that mystical stuff there. I think that let us use our imagination. You don't have to show us everything. I will say this: as concerned as I will talk as we go about where this is going and how he could jump the rails, in my opinion, the world building is amazing. The attention to detail is amazing. We'll talk about as we go on, and the character development. At least for our two former Jedi friends is amazing. Like, he's writing stuff that really wants me to know more. Every episode, I'm like, it's like I feel like he's teasing me now. He's teasing me with, tell me more. You give me just enough, and they gave us a little bit on this one, a lot of confirmation. Kind of new, but it was still enough where I'm like, when does the graphic novel come out or something? Like, I got to know more about
when's the prequel comic? How like Kanan got hit, the true history of Kanan, and this the true history of Balin.
Like you said, they open it up. They're sitting in the cockpit of their ship talking, and we have a kind of a cool moment where our favorite droid was like talking about how he used to tell them the histories of everything, I guess.
Stories,
Yeah, back when they were Jedis, and she said the first one's always the best. And I'm telling you, that seemed like an unnecessary comment. I don't know where they were going with that, but it just seemed like...
Well, I was like, I wonder what he's going to bring up if he does tell the story.
Because it was like 1, 2, and 3, and there's 1, 2, and 3, and then there's, obviously 3 series inside the 1, 2, and 3. And she was like, well, the first one was always best. And I was like, was that... I don't know. It just seems like there's never anything that's said for no reason. It just seemed like there was a shot somewhere. I just don't know what it is. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, so he kind of tells her, hey, maybe for her that was the only choice she had, because she admits to him that I didn't tell them, but yeah, she went willingly. And he was like, well, maybe to her that was the only choice. She didn't like that, so she's like, yeah, go ahead and tell your stories and shut up. And that's it, my friend. Now, we don't see nothing from Ahsoka the rest of the episode,
which is fair. I mean,
I would have bet you a Canadian beer of your choice that they would have gone back and forth so much to like buy time, to make the episode drag it out.
That would have been so bad. That would have been bad.
But I thought they would have, and they would have. If you had saw it, you wouldn't have been that surprised. And I would have bet you they would have done it. But to their credit, not only did they shut down Ahsoka right there on the spot, they got into a rocket ship and rocketed the rest of the information as we go forward. I mean, there were polls I saw. Are we going to see either one of them? Are we going to see who we're going to see first? How many episodes do we see one and then see the other one? We're seeing it all, and we're going to see it pretty quick. Whoever had that one won the lottery, because it was off and popping pretty.
I was wrong on my prediction of what was happening,
So we see this mythical thing, and it took me like a second because I saw it, and I saw the bones of the whales.
That was I love that detail when they get in there.
Like, are the rocks like bones like around this planet?
That is amazing detail. The ring, the asteroid ring around the planet, was actually just the bones of the whales coming to die.
That was crazy. Like that was a little bit of a detail that was just like so weird, and it makes sense. There's a long time we know that elephants kind of go back to the elephant, killing fields and die where they, they're supposed to. I guess the whales do that. This planet is known because the whales come back at the end of their life cycle and die there and add their bones to the swirling mess around a planet. That's crazy. That's okay. What? There you go.
Arriving on Peridia, there's all the bones of the star whales. That's what they called them, not space whales. And yeah, around the planet, and they arrive. And all the statues were. I peeked up in my seat for a minute there. I was like, "Oh, what's all this?" And
yeah, it was weird. It was weird because they were the same, but they weren't.
Yeah,
like it seemed like all the stuff we've seen in the Witches. The first, I forgot what world that was. The first world that Ahsoka was on. They're all like peaceful, holding their little balls, and these ones were like screaming. I don't know. They were definitely a different vibe. These
are more like night witches than day witches.
20-story tall. I don't even know what was going on with those statues all over the place. So yeah, but that was cool. Seeing that, I guess.
Yeah,
and when they came out of the hyperspace thing. It was different, right? Because you can see like a trail behind them, and it was all
the trail, like the electric waves, essentially.
It's almost like they were going faster than we've ever noticed before. We knew that we know that's true, but it's almost like they were going faster than there's some repercussions. So she kind of wakes up, and well, I don't know if she wakes up, but she's laying on a table. Looks very comfortable, by the way. It looked like it was like a solid steel bed or something. And she wakes up, and then, her jailer is standing there, and they have a little conversation about reminding him that you promised you were going to help me find my friend.
It was true from a certain point of view. But yeah, so they go and they get off the ship, and as soon as you see it, I'm like, wait, what are those? And then as they get closer, I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting. She wasn't talking to Thrawn, Morgan L. Smith. She was speaking to the witch queens, queen mothers of the Dathomirian witches.
Yeah. Also,
now, which brings the question: they're Dathomirian, or that's their species, or Dathomir. So is that not their home world? Is this their home world, or did they also just
their original place that they were at? Is what they were saying. And
so then they're Peridian.
The witches like made their way to Dathomir and then settled that planet. So this is their original witch planet. It seems like.
Okay, same way how the Mandalorians or the Tong started on Coruscant and they migrated to Mandalore.
I'm not sure. We get some information at the end where he says something to it, and it comes back to remind me, now that you say that, why did they leave? And he makes a comment later about it. So maybe it goes back to why did they have to leave this in the first place. Obviously, we talked about it before. His name is the name of the wolf that chases the sun, and some mythosis. And these are the three witches. You can call them three witches of the Greek, three witches of Macbeth, three witches of whatever. This is clearly the same thing. The three witches that have the string of destiny. One weaves it, one puts it on, and one cuts it. This is the. I'm not going to bore you with my unnecessary knowledge of Greek stuff, but. This is clearly what this is. The interesting thing about those things, though, what makes those witches in Greek mythology, at least, and other stuff, fiction, is that they're never telling you the full story. They're always holding back. They're always very cryptic, and most people who follow them it don't go well for them. That's where most of the Greek dramas and traumas happen. Is after they get some advice from the three witches and they try to follow them, and all holy hell breaks loose. So I don't know if that's going to be the path here, but. Thrawn seems to like him. He seems to be following him pretty blindly. So we'll see if that same thing holds out in history, because they usually don't work out too well for you when you follow the witches. But they're saying hi, introductions. They got the secret handshake. Everybody's giving the dab up and everything.
And
what I find interesting is, and what was so cool was they have that voice, right, where it sounds like there's 20 people talking when one talks. Like they have different voices, like multiple voices layered in, I should say. And as they're talking and they're saying, hello, you did your ancestors proud. Immediately one of them says, it smells of Jedi or something like that. I forgot exactly how she said it. And I assumed she was talking about our boy, but they all turn around and look at Sabine. And I was like, at first I was like, are they calling her a Jedi? But now I think they were just saying she smells of one because she's hanging out with Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
And they pull the little balls out, and that was pretty sweet. The sweet Night Sister magic. And they just send the balls over to her, and it like sends a little red stream around her like a rope. And I thought that was pretty cool.
And drags her off, yeah.
They're like, it's dangerous, and they put the rope around her.
They didn't know. They didn't want to play with this. They're like, no,
we don't have time for this nonsense. And they kind of drag her off and take her back in her cell or whatever, and she has no more of the conversation. And I think that's pretty much it. It was just them kind of just talking about.
Where's Thrawn? Oh, he'll be here soon enough.
He'll be here soon. And then they do have a little bit of conversation, which is the part of the world building we were talking about earlier, and the people.
Yes, building. As they're waiting for Thrawn to arrive, Morgan just spends her time with the witches, but we get to listen to Baylan walk around, observing the environment, kind of hearing like these like screams out of the distance, like some creatures or whatever, and Shin asking, "So what's going on? What's the plan, Master?"
He seems a little bit confused. Yeah, and he just talks about. I don't know.
I love when you mentioned the politics of it, right? Like,
yeah, and he talks about the cycle of it, and his whole goal is to break the cycle. It's inevitable. It always happens. One rises, one falls, and he just wants, not the power that Thrawn has. That's fleeting. I want the real power that will break the cycle of this continuous mess that we keep getting ourselves in.
So as a history nerd, you were happy to see that Baylan reads his history and knows that when the Empire rises, takes down the Jedi, and then the
cycle starts over again. And it was awesome because that's that character building, man. Because I get like, okay, whoa, he's got even more layers than I thought. Just when I thought he had another one, he pulls out another one. I'm concerned about a guy because I like him a lot, and I don't. He's definitely 100% underestimating the greatest tactician to ever live, who probably has already thought about what he's actually doing there. And you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about Thrawn here. We're talking about the guy who's 20 steps ahead, not one or two.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit concerned that he might not realize who he's dealing with if they start to butt heads a bit. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And I find that very interesting because that's the part of this show I like the most was, like I said, the character building and the world building, because even the world building later is pretty cool. So they go back to our girl, and she's like, you know what? I am a freaking Jedi. I'm finna knock down this damn door. And she puts all her little energy into it. And what do we see? The damn building starts to shake and the dirt's falling down.
She's like, I'm doing it.
Oh my God, it's happening. But the moment that probably made your nerd heart jump, what actually was happening in that moment?
Oh, and the entrance. Talk about a wrestler's entrance here, right? So you pull in, the Star Destroyer slowly cruises in. As it cruises in, you get the shot of the underbelly, and you see that the Chimera logo underneath.
It is
Ron's ship.
Famous
and then
Chimera.
You get the top shot, and you see all the damage that was done from the Purgle, and a lot of it being
attached
repaired.
to it, right? That's what that is, right? Were they attached to it? That's
they attached on the sides around.
Yeah,
so they've damaged it all. So you can see it's been repaired, obviously to a point where it's functional and fine, but not like fully repaired. Like it's just patchworked.
What is that Japanese art that you repair stuff with gold or whatever? There's like an art style.
I don't know that. No.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what they were doing here. You know, they
well, yeah. So
Kintsugi, something like that.
That leads to like a really cool moment where, the when the ship docks on the spire there and they enter the ship, seeing that army of stormtroopers just lined up there. And I had to double check because a friend asked me a question regarding like how many people are on a Super Star Destroyer. I had to double check for a Star Destroyer, and typically it's about 28,000 personnel and just about over 9,000 officers to run the Star Destroyer, like minimum.
Excessive. Yeah, but it's so Kintsugi. It is literally means gold seams. It's a traditional repair method. It takes the broken and chipped parts of cherished vessels, glues them back together with Japanese lacquer, paints them with seam or gold or silver to make it stronger. And I think that's kind of what was going on because, like you were talking about, we're going to see not only does the Chimera have gold on it, but then a lot of
the coolest part,
gold. Kind of looked like Kylo Ren's helmet a little bit, like they had little gold seams and stuff. So I kind of think that's what they were going for here.
Yeah. So as it pulls in, we got the shot of all the stormtroopers, and you get the close-in of them. It didn't initially hit me exactly right away what it was until I thought about it. was that so you see all the stormtroopers and they have all the grime buildup. They have like, the little
8 years,
gold
right?
pieces.
8 or 10 years, something like that.
So it's 9 years. I had to double check this too because I wanted to get the math right for this. It's 9 years after the Battle of Yavin. So after New Hope, 9 years. Which is 9 ABY. I had to double check what year. I couldn't remember offhand what year that Thrawn disappeared. So this is at the very least 10 years later.
Yeah, it's got to be 10 years probably.
10 years at the least. So the stormtroopers have all those things, and all that red binding around them in different places is the same red binding that the red witches use, like the Death and Red witches.
And you seem like, to me, you're looking at it like they're dirty. I'm thinking they're dead.
So that was the two things. There's the big speculation that they're undead.
Yes.
I don't think they're undead.
Oh, I think they are undead. I think they're green.
I can believe it, but the thing is, though, the reason why I don't think they're undead is what Thrawn says later. I'm not sending these like 2 extra battalions out there to fight them because we're running out of men. If you're running out of men and they're undead, it wouldn't matter because you would have them resurrected again.
I don't know, but it seems weird because they don't talk much, they don't move much. It just seems kind of weird to me. They got the whole vibe to me. But we'll see. And definitely have the witches Magoo red straps all over them. So that's another thing that makes me kind of wonder.
But maybe they're you get a cool shot. Really, really interesting. Caught me off guard. Is Captain Enoch? Is captain of the guard?
Okay, before you say that, I was going to say maybe they're infused like they did with Darth Maul's brother. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, they're boosted the more vitality.
Right. And I just want to say, if we hadn't seen a certain person at the end of this, okay, if we hadn't seen all the people we want to see by the end of this, tell me the YouTube world would have gone nuts about who this guy really is.
The YouTube world was already writing notes when Captain Enoch showed up. Had the gold mask on the face. They're like, "That's Ezra! That's Ezra!"
There are 1,000 YouTube channels that wrote down, "Yep, I know who that is. I'm gonna break the news first."
Which is so funny because like they lean into that for a minute, but like, he's just a guy again, as we know. As we do know, like how we have had Merrick, he's just a guy. This is just another guy. Cool. I love the look. That's gonna be a toy. That's gonna be a nice toy.
100%. That's gonna be. When I saw that, I was like, oh shit, that's gonna be a toy.
So that was cool. And then obviously you see Thrawn's walking through the crowd. The music is the Thrawn theme from Rebels. The pipe organ going with like the chanting going on. Again, hyping up a grand entrance for a Grand Admiral, right? Walking through the crowd.
We already had a discussion about his physical appearance. We will not have a discussion here. We're not gonna have it here because I already triggered you with my discussion. Okay, my only issue would be this. You can't do what I want them to do, okay? Like I said, I'm a Rebels fan. All the characters are going to be funky for me for the first, 30 seconds I see them, and then I'll get into it. So I've always looked at Thrawn as having a really super, super duper skinny face, as an almost, not human-looking skinny face. Obviously, this is a human blue paint, so he's going to look more human than I was ready for him to do. However, I will say this. They kept his forehead, little V thing, beautiful, and the red eyes worked for me. I thought that was going to be corny.
They're very glowing. They really did a good job there.
They did a good job. So I'll get past the part where he looked a little too human for me. But you can't argue with the fact that after I've complained for years about not giving these amazing voice actors work that have been working for Star Wars for years, not giving them any love. Here we go. We got some love for a voice actor, and he's doing the Thrawn stuff. So.
Yeah, as soon as he walked up and it said the first line, that voice came out, and it was like smooth. The smooth voice out the face. I was like, again, like the last episode when the Clone Wars Clone Wars part of the War Between Worlds happened, I just had a grin on my face the whole time. As soon as the first line came out, I just smiled and I was like, this ain't fucking leaving. This is staying here.
So they went up, they introduced themselves. He said, "Oh, thank you for rescuing me," basically, and who are these people? And she introduced him. He said his name, and he said, "Oh, General,
you must be General Baylan Skoll from the Clone Wars." And he's like, oh. Which is interesting because Balin again mentions later that he says like he was young when that happened. And again, yeah, if you think about from when Revenge of the Sith happened, that's like 20, 30 years at that point now.
Yeah, I think it was probably like about Anakin's age when all that went down. He's still
So
young.
pretty much, right?
Old enough to be a general. So
yeah, he wasn't an apprentice. It means he wasn't an apprentice during Order. He was a knight. He was the very least a knight during that.
He wasn't in the archives. He wasn't peacekeeping. He was a general. So that means he was out there making it happen.
Yep, he was on war, which makes sense to why he was like how he could have survived because he wasn't there when that happened at the temple.
And the smooth Thrawn, because Thrawn, especially in Rebels, I've actually never read the book, which is probably an absolute outrage. I've never read the book.
Great book.
Especially with Rebels, you can't help but like him, but you also realize how dastardly and illogical he is to the point where if 100,000 people died, but the thing got accomplished, then it's not a problem. And when they said they brought somebody with them, and he was like, "Why? Why would anybody?" Oh, I thought she'd be useful. Who is it? And they say Sabine Wren, and he has that look on his face.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah. And he said,
maybe she will be.
It's so good to see a face I recognize, Sabine Wren. Yeah. And then he tells her very coldly, "You put your entire galaxy in peril for this guy, for your friend, for the
idea of this." Yeah.
What kind of moron are you?
The whole time he's talking to me, I love that he was he was leaned over, towering over her the entire time.
Yeah.
Just menacingly. And I like that. In fact, he's just like, here's a ride. Here's your freedom. Go out there. Go find your friend. By the way, it's just let me go. It's like, yeah. But by the way, once we leave within these 3 rotations, you guys are stranded here. Yeah, so good luck. Good luck finding him. And then,
And then, so she gets on from the next few minutes is the problem that I have with the episode, honestly. They put her on a wolf dog. Shockingly, Uncle Dave wanted a wolf dog. He's obsessed with wolves, obviously. And they put him on a howler, I believe it was called. And she gets on it. She rides away. She knows how to ride it immediately, even though it.
You know what that thing reminded me of when I saw it? The Tusken Raiders in episode 2. Their dog creature. Yeah, it looked like a larger version of that.
They had like passwords, like they're like "hoot-cha" or whatever, and it lay down. So I was like, how does she know the words to this thing? She's just going to ride off with it, but it's fine. She rode off with it. And then we see the scene where they're watching her ride away, and then Thrawn is like, okay, now that she's far enough away, go ahead and follow her. When she finds her friend, get rid of both of them. And here's the thing. Like I said, I thought it was too easy that we were going to have like he's a good guy and his crazy out of control Padawan is going to be the bad guy, because at that moment she looks at him with a very concerned look on her face and says, "Whoa, you're not." You
gave her the word. It's like, yes, he did, that they would reunite with each other, but I did not say.
Yeah, and so she had that look on her face, like, whoa, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. This is like, not the thing we're supposed to be doing. So I thought that was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then she rides for a while, and then I guess she comes up on some only action scene, and it was hard to watch. It was
a very clunky. I did enjoy that she struggled the whole time, and she did mess up a bunch. Like she kept getting knocked back hard or like pinned down, basically. But it was very, very slowed down.
Yes, like her messing up and getting beat up, that's fine. But the problem that I had was it looked like when you see the behind the scenes thing where somebody's literally counting off and 1, 2, spin, block, and they're going through the motions very slow. That's what it looked like. Like I've had my sons out there fighting lightsabers before where they're going faster than this. I'm like, slow down, somebody's gonna get hurt. And I feel like she wasn't even at that speed. She was at like a very like methodical turn, then spin, then block, then stab. Like it was like a very, I don't know, it just was off to me. I didn't like it that much because of that.
It's funny because that's pretty much the only action scene in this series so far that was like bad. Yeah, really.
And then I did think it was weird that she's a Mandalorian and she had her guns and they were basically useless in the situation until she pulled out her lightsaber and was able to hold her own, which is kind of weird to me, but. Yeah. I would have liked it the other way around. I would like to have been slow and clunky and 1 and 2 the lightsaber, and then maybe she put that away, pull out the guns, and at least got like an Indiana Jones moment where she finally shoots the last 2 because she just can't get them to stand still or whatever. I would have seen that.
I mean, you
a little bit
can
more.
also see it as like she pulls the lightsaber out, and they're like, "Whoa, what the hell is this?" And then they get kind of startled for a minute, and then messes
And
them
then
up.
she walks off. And then the other point, I don't know why. I'm assuming it's for toy sales. I don't know why. But then she has this moment where it's supposed to be cute and funny, where she's like, "No, don't talk to me. You abandoned me." And the dog's like, "No, come back."
That's very
I'm
much.
like,
It's a very much a rebel. That's a very rebels thing.
yes, and I'm
That
sitting
was
there going,
straight
that dog
comedy
don't
right
even
there,
know
buddy.
you. He belongs to them. They probably beat him or whatever. He's only hanging out with you for about 15 minutes. And he's like following you around. And by the way, he's following you around, even though he doesn't have to. He could have left your ass. Like, he didn't stay and fight, but he did come back. And she's like, "No, not talking to you."
Or Ader.
And I was like, it is a very Rebels thing, but it's also a very like Disney afternoon kids cartoon thing where I was like, this was kind of silly. Like, I don't think it was necessary.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Talk about fun. They go around and they eventually she eventually finds some rocks. She's like, "These are just rocks." And a little weird turtle creature comes up.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the shell is not a real shell. It's not part of their anatomy.
Well, I loved it when he stood up. At one point, he got a good look at him. He's wearing a little suit, like a little Irishman suit.
Because you could have put that suit on if the shell was actually attached to your skin.
Well, it's actually probably it's just like front facing. He just like throws it on and stuff like this, like clips on the back, just like
and it has
magnets.
Little tabs like when
he has like little tabs like your buckles for your.
And they were talking. I actually did like that again. World building. Who are these turtle people? Like, if you look at, there's a lot of detail in the suit, a lot of detail and a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like, they did a great job.
Basically,
I want to know more about them.
What they basically did with them was they treated them like where the gypsies.
Yeah.
Like just traveling gypsies.
Or it's like her Ewok moment too, because she ran into one cute one and then he took him to the rest of them. So it's kind of like an Ewok moment too.
So quickly, I was going to say this random thing. I was watching the episode, and obviously you get the things where, I wonder like who is going to be wet and like where is Ezra, all these things. You're as the episode's going, you're thinking about these things. And when he pulls up the little medallion, and she's, "Oh my God, that's Ezra's," and they Ezra picture, and they're talking about like, she takes it to the village thing they have. I was seriously waiting for her to go there, and there'd be a grave. It would just be a grave with like a rock or something for him.
Yeah, but like they see her logo on her shoulder or whatever, and he freaks out and they start yelling, and she starts walking to them. And I can't remember. I think we get the
from that it cuts back to the to Balin and Shin find the bandits.
And then that's when we have a
awesome discussion.
And that's when we have, that's when we get more. And it's almost annoying. I'm being so selfish. There's no way any of this man's family will ever watch the 3 people who watch my videos, but I'm so selfish because it irritates me to know that he's no longer with us, because damn it, like, this guy delivers lines like a proper, like that I don't know, just the way he delivers lines. It's like you're listening to a guy on a theater somewhere who's doing
like a proper theatrical actor. Like you have like Alec Guinness, Liam Neeson, Christopher Lee, all of them just pure actors.
So she asked him, what's going on here? Do you know anything about this Ezra person? He's like, no.
He's way too young for me.
Yeah, he was like, he's too young for me. I like him a little older than that, that. And he was like, no, he was basically trained out in the wild. And he's talking with those sticks. I forgot what they're called. He was trained with the sticks. He wasn't trained. And then she kind of looks like me, like almost like there's more people like me out there.
And he's like, no, I trained you to be more.
Yeah, he's a Jedi. You're more than a Jedi. Like, not you, not you. And then he says,
I wonder. That makes
I was there. I watched it all go down, bro. You didn't see the flames like I did. And he tells this story about how he watched it all go down and it was, bad.
And he was confused. Like, as a young person, you're confused. But as you get older and you realize, you learn more about the histories and these pasts, that why these things happened. And it makes sense because, and we talked about it, how the more you look at the Jedi Council and the Jedi Order, you realize how hypocritical they are, how almost bad they are in the way of stealing the children and kind of sidetracking in the Order, not neglecting people and all that.
Yeah.
The more you look into it, you realize the more bad it is.
Anyway, so it goes on to say that he's here and he wanted to come here. That was the point. And there's something out there calling to him. Don't you feel it? There's something out here.
Which I wonder, what that is, because is it something like ancient force, like basically like the Jedi, like when they were still part of the pure balance, like the yin yang.
I can tell you what the YouTube shows are going to say. They're going to say it's the son and the father and the whole thing again. They're going to go. They're going to go that. They're going to jump on that. Yeah, I think it's probably more ancient, like original, like
the Jedi, where it was yin and yang of both, the balance of both parts.
I think something like that, something that's they're strong enough that maybe will chase off the Night Sisters. Maybe what was that big creature's name? That was like neither
Bendu.
Yeah, maybe like that kind of a species, like another version of a Bendu or something that's there as like a, in the middle. I'm not
the one in between.
Yeah. There has to be something powerful enough because he does make a point, and he's like, "Yeah, this is where I want to be." And she was like, "Well, those sisters sure want to get out of here, and this is their planet." And he's like, "Well, maybe they're running from something more powerful than themselves," and
which is possible if they like. Yeah, it just makes me like, even as it goes, like what the motivation is becomes more and more interesting. It becomes less straightforward and more nuanced. And like, what is he wants power, but he's trying to break the cycle of that power. Like what you would typically go for the power of like the Empire or like the Order. He doesn't want that. He wants something greater by breaking that order. But what does he mean by breaking that order? How would he do it?
I would say that obviously this gentleman who is doing the show created the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I would say, although I'm interested what happens in our final season of the Rebels here, I'm assuming that when they rewatch it, they saw how crazy interesting these two are, but I wonder if they realize how crazy interesting these two are.
Yeah, I wonder.
I almost at this point now care more about what they're doing than I care about what the Rebel crew is doing. Well,
it's funny because like when they did the initial drop of the toys, they weren't included. They include Merrick though, the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
So it's funny, like,
and like I said, I care more about these two right now than I do the Rebel crew. Like I want to know what's going on with these two.
I do wonder though if the next episode we're gonna get it's gonna cut to Hera, Coruscant, or any of that stuff, because that's a whole other thing.
But yeah, so and it cuts back to the turtle people's village.
Yep.
And she's standing around to keep asking, "Where's he at? Where is he at?" And then
I love that everyone's staring at her like, "Who's this?"
Shocked the piss out of me.
Yeah, that was
that he says, "I knew I could count on you."
I loved it.
I was super annoyed because he doesn't look like Ezra to me.
Well, he's pretty
closer because he's older, right? He's got a beard, which is perfect, because I always hate when somebody's stranded on an island with nothing, yet they're clean shaven because the actor doesn't want to grow a beard. He's got a beard, and you know what it reminded me of? And I went and looked at after the show. I immediately pulled up my phone like a nerd, and I looked at the picture of his parents. He's looking all the time. That dude looks like his damn daddy almost a spitting image of his dad.
I didn't think about that, because you do have pictures of his parents.
Yeah. He always looks like his dad. His dad had a beard. He's got that hair or whatever. And then they gave him like the most animation color blue eyes I've ever seen.
Yeah. So two things I was going to bring up with Ezra. One, I thought the actor did a phenomenal job with how the voice, how Ezra's voice sounds and how his inflections, how he speaks, sounded exactly the same.
Yeah, it was good.
As soon as I got that watch out of the eyes, I looked at it for a second. I'm like, holy crap, what are they doing? And I'm like, oh yeah, his eyes are like supposed to be very blue, if I remembered. And I'm like,
that's a cartoon blue. You ain't got to make them that blue.
They took some of that budget for Thrawn's eyes. And they kind of bled some of that over to.
They just had they just had the price line. They just said eyes, and people didn't know which one they were talking about. They're like, all of their eyes.
Okay. I guess we could spread some of that budget out. But yeah,
so they had a little banter, which seems silly and unnecessary when you haven't seen somebody for 8 years. And I guarantee you, anyone who's not seen Rebels, probably is like, that was kind of corny. They just sat there and kind of talk trash to each other a little bit. But that's Rebels.
That's our relationship.
Yeah, that's exactly who they are. Yeah. They were never going to go run at each other, give each other a big hug. They were going to be silly for a second, and then
Yeah, there were kids in a rebellion here. Now,
so he's talking, right? Like, I can't wait to see you. Can't wait to go home. And she's mom's the word.
That was hilarious. He's like, see, I was like, oh, that's great to see you. I was like, I can't wait to see how did you get here, by the way? Wait, what's your hair? What's going on? Where is this? What's going on? That. And she's like, you know what? Don't ruin the moment. Let's enjoy the time for a minute while we have it. I'll tell you shortly, because all she can probably think in her head is, yeah, Ahsoka trained me. The Empire ended. Ahsoka's trained me. We managed to find you with some dark Jedi. I betrayed Ahsoka. I let them take me with them. We basically freed Thrawn now. He's gonna be leaving in like 2 days, and we're gonna be stuck here. He's gonna go out to the galaxy and destroy it. Yeah. How you doing? I've also been living in your house for the past 10 years, so hope you don't mind.
I hope that you have some kind of cave house around here, because here in a couple of days we're going to be living here permanently. So I hope you.
I hope you have a second. I hope you have a second bed or an inflatable mattress.
Yeah, because he says a comment to him like, pack up, and they all started packing up in the language. He said, we always got to keep moving. Every couple of days we keep moving, and at that moment you could have said, well, funny enough, good news. 2-3 days, you don't have to worry about that anymore.
So funny. I was just like, and that was interesting too, because like Ezra retired to that, right? And like the Empire, like Thrawn has his whereabouts, and so like most recent whereabouts, but obviously they don't care about him, because like there's no point in like expending the energy to go after him. He's not a threat to them, and he's like, if we kill him, we kill him. That's what it is. If we don't, he's just stuck here. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, because I'm sure people are going to say that, like, why didn't Thrawn just go find him? And like you said, they were stuck in the same place. He ain't going nowhere. I'm not going anywhere. What's the point? If I send troops after him, he is possibly going to kill them if I send troops after him.
Yeah, it's a waste of resources.
Yeah, I need to hold my resources. When I go back, it's going to be a shit show, because Thrawn doesn't really know what's going on completely.
Yeah, he won't really know. He doesn't know all. He knows the details, but not all the details.
Yeah. So that makes sense to me why he didn't. But then we kind of go back to the Thrawn, and they're talking.
I love the star map, seeing him looking over the whole galaxy.
Star map. And he basically says, like, yeah, like, whatever. Go send a couple of groups to go help him. He's probably going to need the help. And she's like, why not more? And he was like, what point difference does it make? Like, I don't know those people. They don't know me. In 3 days, I'm leaving.
And he's like, I need all the men I have. We're kind of running out, he says, which again.
And I have no loyalty to all these former. And he said to her, don't forget, they used to be Jedi, so their word is nothing. Like, it means nothing.
I love that. It's like, they talk about the mothers.
Yeah,
the witches say that, oh, another Jedi is coming, and he's like, could this be Ahsoka Tano, the recently deceased? And she's like, can't be. She's dead. And he's like, oh, you know better? The Jedi always get through this stuff, surviving these things, and the witches too. And she's like, well, Balin assured me. He's like, yo, and then the line like, oh, but he was also once a Jedi, right? So your logic is flawed.
And they seem actually concerned that Ahsoka's coming. That she's they seem to be a lot more worried about her.
The line he says too. That's unwelcome news.
Yeah. So she's coming. They know she's coming now, which is, I mean, she knew that they knew she was coming. I mean, she knows it's a trap, but it's a trap. But and so yeah, that's the end of the show. That's the end of the show. End of this episode, I guess.
Well, there's an interesting line which leads into the next episode, where he said that. So, they're taking the travelers, right? And he said, if any Purgle approached the planet, kill them with extreme prejudice.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the case, that's the only way out of this planet is the Purgle. So if they kill the Purgle upon arriving, and then they get in the ship and get down there, they'd have to get on the Star Destroyer or the Ring to get out.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably his plan. That's his backup plan, is I'm not letting them find a way off of this thing. Once we leave, that's it. Like, I'm going to leave them here. And then he did say to the Night Sisters, I will need your dark magic again one more time, which, means he was using it for something. So we'll see what that's all about.
Well, the dark magic was talking to the other. He could also be asking them, because the one other thing was that with Pelion mentioning about Thrawn's return, he's been speaking to Thrawn. Possibly he was using them to speak to Pelion as well. Which could be, he could be asking the Knights or the Sisters to contact Pelion. Get ready for my arrival. Get your forces together to unify forces upon arrival.
Oh, but yeah, that's the episode.
One last thing. Do you think going in when they make the jump back to the regular galaxy, or at least if the Star Destroyer and all that stuff goes with it, where are they going to exit? Are they going to exit back on that planet, or are they going to exit somewhere else?
I assume they're going to exit. Well, I mean, I guess they can exit where they want to, right? Because they have the star map.
Yeah, they have the star map and the coordinates. So will they exit in that same region, or are they going to exit somewhere completely?
I would imagine there's a game plan. Like, meet me, the Shadow
these
Council,
coordinates, and we're gonna unify forces there, kind of thing.
Meet me somewhere with the Shadow Council. I will say this: I think they have a battle, and I think Star Destroyer's inoperable. They shot the whales, and they all get stuck on that plane, and that's it. Because none of them can make it back. I know you keep shaking your head. But they cannot make it back, or we have problems. I know Star Wars doesn't care about their timelines and all that stuff, but
you say these things.
Have Thrawn running around.
My only
have Ahsoka running around. You cannot.
Only out there predictions. They're 100% making it back. You shut your. You know they will. My only predictions is I feel is Balin gonna die before they leave in a fight. Yeah, I feel like he probably is. He's not gonna survive it.
I feel like Thrawn is gonna be the one that gets rid of him.
Gets rid of him?
Yeah, like I think they try to go
interesting idea.
I think they try to because they have to find a way because they're clearly setting it up for one of them to turn light and one of them turn dark. Like that's what they're clearly setting this up.
What's her name is gonna stick around with Thrawn.
So I think that Thrawn, because he failed at killing whoever, like he's failed. Thrawn's gonna be like, I don't have time for this, and get rid of him or abandon him or something. And then I think it's gonna make her like jump ship and say, okay, I gotta do the right thing, and she's gonna be light.
That's what. Do you think Ezra will survive? I think he might die.
No, I don't think he'll survive.
I think he'll die at the end, like sacrifice himself to make sure Ahsoka and Sabine get out fine.
Yeah, I don't think he'll make it out.
Because that's going to be, now that would be a big, so again, as we talked, I think Thrawn coming back is that'd be a big thing, him coming back to the galaxy and the big recon. If Ezra gets back, that's also a bigger thing too. So.
He's not coming back. None of them are making it back, in my opinion. They're not in any of the stories going forward. They're too famous not to be. Even Sabine Wren is too famous not to be in any stories going forward. You can't have Ahsoka out there running around because eventually everyone figures out who it comes out who Darth Vader really is, and it fucks up a bunch of stuff going into the first.
We did miss one line that was important when Thrawn turns to Morgan. He's like, "I want to know everything about this Jedi, who she is, her master." And obviously, we know that he knew Anakin during the Clone Wars.
Is that ever confirmed that he knew who?
Yes,
Darth Vader is.
Yes, he met Anakin during the Clone Wars when he was doing a mission with the Chiss, a reconnaissance mission, and he met him. Did a mission with him in that same book. It jumped back and forth between that and then the modern timeline where he was sent on a mission by Palpatine with Vader, and he kept saying to Vader, like, "Hey," he kept saying things about Anakin and stuff that's like, "Oh yeah, your guys are very similar to this action." I was the guy Jedi I knew at one point was like that too, and he's cheeky face to him the whole time.
But he was just dropping it. Did he 100% confirm that he actually said that is Anakin Skywalker?
Not verbally, but he thought it the whole time. But the thing is,
who her master is then.
Huh?
He knows who her master is. Why does he need to say that line? Is what I'm saying.
No, because he doesn't know who she is. She has no idea who's like he doesn't really know much about Ahsoka Tano. Remember, she dies in the World Between Worlds before Thrawn gets introduced.
Are you sure?
Yeah, she dies in season 2.
Well, he still had to have known who she was.
Yeah, but she probably didn't know them. Like her master wasn't really brought up much.
That seems weird for a Thrawn not to know that little tidbit.
Well, he's learning, so he's always learning.
You can deduce who the hell Anakin is. You should be able to deduce who the hell her master was. So people talk.
But yeah, so interesting. Again, excited for the next episode. I am.
Right. Yeah. I can't wait for the next episode either. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you next time. We're going to end it here. The recording is done.